Welcome to your Biology 1408 and or 1409 class. Yeah, this walkthrough of Blackboard and how my course works for both courses. Some of the examples will be from 1408, some of the examples will be from 1409. So if something doesn't look exactly precisely right, well, it may not be. The first thing you'll want to do is log in. You'll need to go to my.tccd.edu, and you're probably already there if you found this video, honestly, but you'll need to log in with your first name, last name, maybe some numbers at tccd.edu. You'll type in your password, and well, you're on your own with your password. Man, that changes on the rules on what all they need for that. But once you get logged in, you'll continue on. The video will just keep going. You might have to pause it. That's nice. Anyway, once you get all logged in, you should see a box that's labeled My Courses. And yours is going to look a little different from mine because I'm an instructor and you're a student. But you should be able to find your Biology 1408 or 1409 course. If you'll click on that, it will take you into the basic homepage. From here, all the instructor courses look a little different. Mine's the only one I've ever seen that actually has a text pad in the middle of it, but there you go. It does have some notes that I have for all of my classes. This does appear in every last one of my classes. If I actually need to send something specifically to your class, I'll probably just write an announcement. But for everybody, you'll want to start by clicking on the orientation syllabus to the link to the left. And if there aren't any options to the left, look for the little arrow button and click it to show the course menu. I got the big purple arrow on it. You'll have to kind of scroll around a little bit and try to find it because it's usually hidden. Good luck. But if you don't see on the left side course homepage, orientation syllabus, announcements, lecture lessons, look for that mysterious magical arrow. You can click it, it'll be going the other direction to actually show, or go in the direction it's showing there to, yeah, hide it. Yeah, that's nice. It goes either direction. But you'll probably want to click that arrow if you don't see the menu to the left. Once you've found the main menu on the left, you can look for all sorts of things. The first one is orientation and syllabus. It does have the orientation files and the syllabus and this video and things to know for lab exams and the actual syllabus and orientation. Like I said, this video, it's also got some study tips. It's got all sorts of nifty, neato, cool stuff. I used to go through the syllabus first, but then I'd be bouncing back and forth between the syllabus and here's this on the web page and here's that on the web page. So I'm just going to go through the web page and we'll come back to that syllabus later. That syllabus that was over there earlier does have all the due dates for all the assignments and homeworks and exams and stuff like that. But I did want to point out that Blackboard also has its own calendar. If your instructor has programmed in the due dates, I have, then you can check the Blackboard calendar. If you'll look on the upper right-hand side under your name, there's a little arrow that you'll click and it'll pop up with a little menu on the courses. The last little icon on the left side is a calendar. When you click that, you'll get to the calendar that you can kind of see underneath. April 2020 is not yours, but you come up with a little calendar. It does have a bunch of your classes on it. On the left-hand side, you can pick which class you want to see. I don't have all of mine checked because I have a whole bunch of classes, and you can see there's a whole bunch of dates on my calendar. But you can set the different colors for your different classes. You can look for one particular class and not another. Like I said, it works really great if your instructor has programmed in all the due dates, in which case Blackboard can import it to the calendar and you can use that. Or you can buy a calendar and write things down on it, or you can print off the syllabus and check things off. Your choice, but there are plenty of ways to follow along and make sure you've got things turned in by their due date. The third link in Blackboard on the left side is announcements. I generally do have announcements for when everything is due and what we're working on this week and things like that. Generally, the first announcement that's available is kind of a welcome to your course. If you haven't done so already, click the orientation and syllabus link on the left. Watch the video if you need to. Yeah. You will want to start working your way through lesson 1. Now, these announcements seem to be from genetics. You're not a genetics course, but you'd have some announcements there. That's fine. You would still start by clicking on lessons and look for lesson 1. Yeah, that's nice. Look through the announcements. They pop up about once a week. If I need to, I do have a choice of emailing it to all students immediately. So if it's something really important, I might go ahead and email it immediately. Otherwise, just watch for the announcements. The next link to the left is Lecture Lessons. This is where you'll find most of the lessons of all things. Honestly, when you click the link, the first thing is how to submit an assignment in Blackboard. For many of my classes, you can turn things in class, aside from summer 2020 where you have to learn to turn things in Blackboard. It's really not that bad. You click the title of the assignment, it pops up with a new window. You can type things in, you can copy and paste things, you can attach a file. Just be sure to hit submit at the bottom. One big trick, I can't open the newest iPhone's default picture file format. The HEIC files, I can't open them. I don't have an iPhone, and a lot of the programs have not caught up on the computer either. So what I need you to do is, if you're taking a picture on an iPhone, I need you to save as JPEG, PNG, PDF, I don't care, but I can't see the HEIC pictures. Yes, I know how to fix that. It's a pain in the... It's a nuisance. It's a real nuisance. Nobody likes me to be annoyed when I start grading things. Convert it for me, please. Older iPhones and Android phones take pictures just fine. They usually save them as PNGs. Blackboard just opens those right up. It's great. Meanwhile, we were actually going to talk about the lecture lessons. Usually I do have them arranged by the lecture exams. Not all of these may be showing. For summer classes, I usually leave them all open, but for the fall, you may only be able to see lecture exam number 1 lessons, which would cover lessons 1, 2, and 3. That way you don't start working on lesson 12 on the beginning and forget about lesson 1 or something like that. So for many of my classes, you'll only see lecture exam number 1 lessons. But do click the title so we can go on to the next page. Okay, the video does mildly skip a step. When you click that lecture exam number 1 lessons folder, it does come up with lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. You do have to click one of them, say lesson 1. Lesson 1 for biology 1408 is the scientific study of life. Lesson 1 for 1409 is the circulatory system, pictured here, fine. It works the same either way. The first thing that's up there is going to be some fill in the blank notes. If you'll click the little blue link, it will come up with some fill in the blank notes. Once you click that fill in the blank notes link, it does come up with some fill in the blank notes. These are pretty much my lecture notes, although there are some blanks to be filled in. You'll read about those in the lecture notes and be able to fill in the blanks. These fill in the blank notes, they're not for a grade. Don't bother to turn them in. Here, Miss Snaples, I filled in all the blanks for you. Yeah, I could have done that. It was really just for you to make sure you're actually reading the stuff and paying attention to it. It is not for a grade. It is, however, for you to study for the lecture exams. These fill in the blank notes, these are where my test questions come from. The circulatory system takes in oxygen and nutrients to all the cells and removes carbon dioxide and waste products. Yeah, okay, it probably says what system takes in oxygen and nutrients, blah, 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 blah. A, circulatory system, B, digestive system, C, respiratory system, D, I don't know, some other dumb answer. But my lecture exams do come from these fill in the blank notes. If you ever find a test question that doesn't have anything in the fill in the blank notes, send me an email. Everybody gets 2 points at that point. Doesn't happen too often, but it's worth a shot. A lot of times what happens is the student says, Miss Naples, that wasn't in the notes. And I look at the question and say, yeah, it was. Lesson 1, page 2, check it out. It's towards the bottom. Oh, there it is. Yeah, you don't get 2 points if you didn't study for it. You get 2 points if I can't find the stuff in my notes. It's not always going to be exactly precisely from the notes. It should be something similar to the notes, maybe a think about it sort of thing. And just because it's the fill in the blanks on the notes doesn't mean that every last thing is a fill in the blank question on the exam. I usually run about 50 to 65% multiple choice and true false questions. But there are some fill in the blank questions on the tests. Arteries would be carrying blood blank the heart, away from the heart. Veins will carry blood to the heart. A monosaccharide is blank sugar molecules, 1. A monosaccharide is 1 blank molecule, sugar. Yeah, it's probably going to be something similar to the fill in the blank notes, but maybe not exactly precisely. But you will want to study them for the lecture exams. That's where my questions come from. Maybe not word for word, but this is where my notes come from. Back in Blackboard, underneath the fill in the blank notes, is the lecture notes. Click the blue link for an explanation of the terms for the fill in the blank notes. You can print these out, or a lot of students will just read them online. That's fine, whichever works better for you. Once you do click on that lecture notes link in Blackboard, it will pop up with a Microsoft Word document, which does have the explanation for those fill in the blank notes. This one happens to be on the circulatory system. It's got an introductory paragraph about all the cells in your body taking in oxygen and doing this and that and the other, blah, 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 blah. The next kind of paragraph there talks about the circulatory system taking oxygen. Remember, there was a blank there. Takes oxygen and nutrients to all the cells, removes carbon dioxide, blah, 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 blah. Little more explanation and talking about those fill in the blank notes. Like I said, you don't have to print them out, although a lot of people will, that's fine, but you do use them to fill in the blank notes. The next thing in Blackboard under each lesson is going to be some sort of assignment. These do vary depending on what lesson and which class you're talking about. Lesson 1 for the circulatory system is to draw and label a heart. Draw the heart, label at least 10 structures. Artistic ability will not be graded. At the bottom of the page, do write a definition for each of your 10 structures. For 1408, the first assignment is a crossword puzzle. Use the fill in the blank notes to fill in the crossword puzzle. Hey, works pretty well. For either one of the assignments, you can just print it off and snap a cell phone picture. You can email it to me, that's fine. I prefer it to come through Blackboard. Doesn't clog my emails quite so much. But snap a cell phone picture and get me a picture of the assignment somehow. You don't have to print off a copy of the assignment. If you'd like to just draw a heart on notebook paper or write down the answers to the crossword puzzle on a piece of notebook paper, that works for me. Snap a cell phone picture of the heart drawing or just type the words in Blackboard and hit the submit button. 1 across is this, 2 down is that, 3 over, there's no 3 over. But just type out the question number and what the answer is, and boom, there you go. If you're doing the crossword puzzles, you do not have to make all the boxes for me. If it helps you to study and figure out what word needs to go in the blank, hey, that's fine, that works for me. But you don't have to do that. If it helps, great. But if it doesn't help, don't do it. No big deal. Each of the lessons does have a practice test on it. The practice test is going to be very similar to real questions that I use on real lecture exams. But the practice tests are not for a grade. But you should probably click them and see what happens there. When you click the title of the practice test, you're probably going to have to follow the prompts after that. Click the title, there'll be a button to click begin. You want to answer the questions. There's a little arrow at the bottom so that you can go on to the next question. If you click the arrow with the 2 chevrons, that'll send you to the end of the test. So you might want to click the one with just 1 little arrow rather than 2. But eventually you'll get to the end, you can save and submit, you'll have to click OK to see the results, but they are not for a grade. The order of the questions may change, but it's always going to be the same 10 questions. If you don't know the answers to the questions, well, as long as you're not, studying for a test right now, that's not really a problem. But clotting in an unbroken blood vessel, ooh, that's in those fill in the blanks somewhere in 1409. If you're in 1408, you got an entirely different set of questions, so I wasn't going through these by any means, but there's going to be a practice test for each of the lessons. Back on the left side of Blackboard, underneath the lecture lessons, is the in-class assignments. The in-class assignments are designed to be in class. Imagine that. I will print these out, assuming we're actually having class. This video is actually made for the summer of 2020 coronavirus experiment. But in case you actually needed the video, I'm going to post it on my other classes in the fall and the spring and the rest of the time. So it works anyway. But ideally, if we're in class, the in-class assignments, I'll print those out. And we'll do them in class, or at least start them in class, get you started. Most of the time, most people can finish them in class. There may be a few that I say take it home and finish it up, and there may be a few where you want to take it home and clean it up, maybe type it if your handwriting is that atrocious. Yeah, I've been able to read everybody so far. But if you're absent for any reason, sick, excused, just didn't come to class, go ahead and print out a copy, answer the questions on your own, and either upload your answers to Blackboard or bring it back to class with you next time. These usually are not all available, so it probably won't start with number 12 in-class evolution questions. Yeah, well, but whatever's there you can see. And they do have the due dates, so be sure to check your calendar as to when these are due. But they'll magically appear usually after I give them out in class. Like I said, if you're in class, don't worry about them, I'll print them out. If we're not actually having class, you may have to print these out. You can work in groups of 1 to 4 students. Yes, 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 I know a group of 1 is a kind of small group there. Yeah, well, you can work on your own or you can work in groups of up to 4. If you do work in groups, you can turn individual papers in, or you can just turn one in with everybody's name on it. That works for me. If you turn in one with everybody's name on it on Blackboard, make sure you put in the notes to check there's multiple names on it because it's attached to your account, so I don't always look to see whose name is on the paper. But other than that, I mean, if you're submitting it electronically, maybe everybody should submit a copy. But if you were absent the day we work on it in class, do the assignment at home on your own. There are going to be some exams in this class. Boo, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. But there are lecture exams and lab exams. You will have the option to take these exams online. If you do take them online, there are some technical computer specifications that you need to work through and make sure that your computer and the Blackboard system play nicely together. The main thing is you have to use Chrome as your browser and you have to use a Proctorio app. You'll probably want to read through those basic instructions that are down there. You will have a specific time period to take your exam. It has to be proctored. We do have a partnership with Proctorio. You will need a webcam, headphones or speakers, a microphone, possibly a large mirror to prove that you don't have notes hidden behind your computer. Make sure you've got a good internet connection. Yes, I've had students who have sat in the parking lot at Starbucks because they had a better internet connection there. Doesn't bother me, not a problem. If your computer doesn't meet the qualifications, you can take your exam on a different computer. Borrow a friend's. That won't bother me a bit. You can upgrade your computer. TCC may not pay for those upgrades. During the mini semesters, you can also take your exam on campus. Not for summer 2020. Sorry, you're going to have to be entirely online. So read through the basic instructions. Oh my God, Miss Snaples, how do I know my computer's going to work? There's a practice Proctorio test. It's a practice test to see if Proctorio Proctorio will really work with your computer setup. You can try it multiple times, but it's the same question from lesson 1. Ideally, when you click the Begin button, Proctorio kicks in, checks your surrounding, and automatically provides a magic password. If Blackboard asks you for a password, something has gone wrong. Go back to this orientation and syllabus link, click the orientation file, scroll to the bottom, but probably 90% of the time, clearing Chrome's browser's cache and reinstalling the Proctorio app, and then rebooting your computer. Most of the time, one of those will clear things up right quick. There's a couple of other suggestions in the orientation file as well. But for the most part, clear the cache, restart Proctorio, restart your computer, boom, it generally picks up right there. We'll also be doing a lab in this course. There are going to be some pre-lab assignments. Prefix means before. You do put the prefix before the suffix? Yeah, well, I'm not an English major. The pre-lab assignments are due before lab. When you click the link on the left, you'll get to the pre-lab assignments, and you'll have to click the lab exam number 1 pre-assignments or the lab exam number 2 pre-assignments, and then you can actually get to the list of assignments. Once you click that lab exam number 1 pre-lab assignments, it does get to all the pre-labs for lab exam number 1. Switching to some 1408 examples here. There's really not a pre-lab for the lab safety. Just read the inside of the front cover of the lab book for most of the safety information. Do be sure to add that broken glass goes in the broken glass box. Yeah. The next one does have a pre-lab for exercise 3, care and use of the microscope. If you'll click the black link, it will get you to the questions. If you click the blue link, it'll get you to a PowerPoint that might help answer some of the questions. I'd have both of them up at the same time if I were you. For the pre-lab assignments, you do have an unlimited number of tries. If you don't make a 5 out of 5 first time, keep trying over and over. I don't really care. Try it as many times as you want. You ought to be able to get it eventually. But you do have unlimited tries. Use your books, use your notes, use that PowerPoint. Here's a pre-lab assignment from care and use of the microscope. Let's see, question 1. When transporting a microscope, always carry it upside down. That doesn't sound right. I bet that's false. What's the total magnification of a low-powered lens? Oh, that's probably in the book. For some of the pre-labs, using that pre-lab PowerPoint will probably be very helpful. If you're looking at 1409 and the exercise 8 circulatory system, it's probably a lot more helpful on that one. But a lot of times the pre-labs also have some of the information in there as well. So get your lab book out, have the pre-lab PowerPoint out, and answer the questions. Be sure to hit save and submit at the end. There will be some post-lab quizzes. On these, you only have one try. No books, no notes, no PowerPoints, no neighbors, just the information contained in your little brain. You will have 10 minutes, but you've only got one try. Do note there's a due date for each of these things, so make sure you do the one try before the due date. Well, you've got all week to attempt the post-lab quiz. You've only got 10 minutes once you open it. Now, if you do miss a lab for any reason, be sure to read the lab exercise, go to the tutorial lab, attend one of my other labs, attend another lab section, another instructor section, read the lab book, email me, but take the quiz anyway. Guessing on the answers is probably better than not taking the quiz at all. No promises on that statement, but it's probably better. There are no makeups for missed quizzes. If you miss the quiz, you miss the points. I'm sorry. There's no Proctorio for this one. Just on your honor not to use books, notes, neighbors, etc. But don't open the quiz until you're actually ready to take it. Opening the quiz starts the timer. You've got 10 minutes to finish it, and I do not reopen quizzes that students accidentally opened. Yeah, that sounds a lot like somebody opened a quiz to see what's on it, study those questions, and then go back and take it. No fair. Sorry. There's also a My Grades link. Being the instructor, I don't actually have any grades. It doesn't really do very much on my side of things. I would imagine if you click on My Grades, you'll get your grades. Grades for all your homeworks and pre-lab and post-lab and in-class assignments and lecture exams and stuff like that. Back up at the top, there was that orientation and syllabus link. It does have several interesting files that you'll probably want to look at. One of the files is Things to Know for 1408 or 1409 Lab Exam. Wonder what's on that. Things to Know for the Biology Lab Exam? We actually go through the chapters and tell you what you need to know for the exam. For example, be sure to know the parts of the microscope for the microscope chapter, cells and organelles. Ooh, know this picture of the heart. Things to know for the lab exam. There's also the syllabus. The syllabus does have all sorts of nifty needle cool information on it, but most likely you're looking for dates, right? The syllabus does have all the due dates, when we're working on stuff and when the homework assignment is due. It's also got office hours, book information, how many points you need for an A, a B, a C. But yeah, most people are interested in the dates we're doing stuff. These vary by semester. I'm not going to call things out, and I can't even tell you which semester I pulled this one off of, so don't look at those dates. But it does have some lab information at the bottom of it too. Read through it, got some stuff in it that you'll need to know. Also with that syllabus file, there's an orientation file. 8 to 10 pages and pages and pages of stuff, but it does tell you how the course works and reminds you of all these things I've been telling you about in the video. It's got some help files. It's got some stuff on what can go wrong with Proctorio in your computer trying to take an exam. It's got all sorts of information. Do read all about it. If you scroll down a little further on that page, there's a file on how to study for biology, and students often ask me what's the best way to study for this class. I still say whatever works best to sink the little information into your brain, that's what works best for you. What works for me may not work for you, but there are some things to try. I've got a whole list of stuff. Yeah, it starts with index cards and memorizing information, but there's also stuff on Roman rooms and mnemonics and all sorts of nifty needle cool stuff. Try some of it. See what you think will work for you. Pick 2 or 3 things to try on the first exam. See which one works best for you. And if nothing works best, try some of the other ones out there. There's no magic process where you read the material once and you suddenly have it memorized. I mean, unless you've got a photographic memory. Sadly, all of these things are going to take some time and effort to work to learn the material. But there's some suggestions on what to do to learn the material. If you've got any questions, you might check that orientation file first. But if you've still got questions, feel free to email me at sean.snaples@tccd.edu. Be sure to spell it correctly. Sean.staples doesn't work. Sean.snaples@my.tccd doesn't work. Be sure to type accurately. If you're in Blackboard, I got links to my email all over the place. Just click one of them. It automatically pops up and you can copy and paste it. It's a little easier than trying to spell it because let me assure you, autocorrect does not like Snaples. Sorry. You're also welcome to call 817-515-4811. And if I'm not there, leave a message. I'll get back to you. I may email back to you, but I'll get back to you. Thanks. And welcome to your class.